Welcome to the road to a million. This is Katie. Do you even know what week this is? Do you know how many weeks we've been doing this in a row?
70 something.
78.
78.
We've been doing we're doing this call for 78 weeks in a row. And the reason that we started this call was to document the journey of our second location in Mesa, Arizona. We started this location with how many clients, Katie?
0.
Ooh. How much money did we start with in revenue?
0.
How many 5-star reviews did we have?
0.
How many friends did we have down in Mesa, Arizona?
0.
Not very many. Not very many. So the reason that we started this location is we actually our first location was in Montana, and the first location it was able to provide the opportunity for us to be able to spend half the year in Montana and half the year in Arizona. And we spent the winters in Arizona and the summers in Montana. And so the one winter in Arizona, we got all the way to about March, and we're like, what if we actually start a second business? What if we actually see if we can do this again? Because our first location at that time had done probably a little over $1 million the year before, and it had been operated by our general manager. Her name is Alaya, and she had not only just been running the business, but she actually had been growing the business. I actually think she just got on here. How cool is that? And so that was like the sign to me that it was time for us to grow ourselves. Is that if you can have a business that can actually grow without you, the entrepreneur, because you found a superstar, like Miss Alaya Rodgers, who actually just hopped on here, then it is your job to continue to grow and to find ways that you can provide opportunities for someone like Alaya or someone else on their team to continue to grow. Because if you stop growing as the entrepreneur, you create a ceiling on what the people around you can grow within your little circle, right? And so 78 weeks ago, Katie and I decided to start the second location down in Mesa, Arizona. And Katie, what did you do in this second location?
I went and scrubbed toilets.
Katie went and started scrubbing toilets again, right? Had done that for quite a few years. And I got on the phones and I started selling, I started hiring, something I hadn't done ever, actually, in this location. I shouldn't say that. I think I did it for the first 6 weeks of the first location. But Katie really was the one who built the first location up. And so, again, for a little bit of a history lesson, when we started our first location, which was in October of 2020, I helped for 6 weeks. I did sales, and Katie was cleaning, and then Katie took over from there because I actually still had the gym. I was still trying to buy real estate, and so I was doing other things. And Katie took this cleaning business from zero, and she took it to over $1 million as being the operator of the business. And she paid for coaching along the way. She paid in mistakes. She paid in free cleans to figure out how to actually build a business predictably. And so this was actually my first time in actually like being focused inside the cleaning business for a significant amount of time. And so I was selling and hiring and filling Katie's schedule. And right away, Katie was not just cleaning, but like from the very first clean, we had 2 trainings with her the entire time, because the goal was not to have Katie clean. It was for her to create a system to train cleaners so then that she could join me in the office. And then eventually we would create a system inside the office to then replace both Katie and I in the office. So then we could do it again. And that's exactly what we did. And so Katie was cleaning for, how long, Katie, did you clean for?
I don't remember, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Yeah, weeks. And then eventually Katie replaced herself in the field with other cleaners who could work, but also other people who could train new cleaners. So it's two steps. And then once Katie was able to do that, then she graduated into the office. And then Katie and I both, our job became to fill cleaner schedules and also bring on new cleaners to fill their schedules. Because in this business, a cleaner who works on average over 30 hours a week, which is probably is going to be the most you're ever going to get from a cleaner, somewhere between 30 to 35 on average. That's going to be The maximum that you're going to get from an individual cleaner, they're going to be able to generate somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000 a week in revenue per cleaner. Okay? And so if we understand that our goal was to grow $1 million business, then we have to know what is the weekly revenue in order for you to actually have a $1 million business. So Katie, what is the weekly revenue?
For $1 million business weekly. Oh, you're putting me on the spot. 83 divided by 4.22.
It's $19,000.
$19,000.
On the vision sheet every single week.
I was going back to see how many weeks I had cleaned for. So I looked and I was out of the field in 9 weeks. It took me 9 weeks of cleaning to get out of the field.
And so if we understand that the goal is to get to $19,000 a week and each cleaner can do about $1,500, well, we need about 14 cleaners in order to make that happen. So you need about 14 cleaners. You're going to be able to fill their schedules to working 30 to 35 hours in order for you to have $1 million business. And so that's not something that you can do as a solopreneur. That's not something you can do on your own. And so this is to be really clear for, a lot of you guys on here, like Marie and Kayla, Elia, you guys have been on here for a long time. Lindsay Story's about to hop on here. Like this, what we teach is how to grow $1 million business specifically. This is not how to maximize yourself as a solo cleaner, how to work your ass off and get tired and eventually want to quit your job, because that's all a cleaning business is if you're cleaning is a job. But if you actually want to turn this into a business, you want to turn this into an asset, something that you can actually hand off. Here's how you know if you have a job or an asset. Can you give it to somebody else? Nobody wants to go work 40 hours a week as a cleaner. But if you're able to give someone a business that makes money for the business, makes money for the people working in the business, and makes money for the person who owns the business, that's how you know that you have an asset. Is it something that you can give and you can sell? Okay. And so that's what we are sharing, is how to grow really an asset, right? And the reason that we use the $1 million mark as an arbitrary number is like that's at the first level. That's the first level of revenue that there is actually enough profit. So if we understand our vocabulary, revenue is how much money that is collected from clients. But as all you guys know who are in business, you don't get to keep all the revenue. How many of you guys as employees think that you guys are rich because you guys make $20,000? Like, oh my God, you're so rich. You're like, oh my God, I've been negative since the business. I made no money. You don't understand how poor I actually am at $20,000. And in fact, I've seen lots of P&Ls at $20,000. $20,000 is like, that's the poorest point in a cleaning business is where you're making $20,000 to $30,000. And maybe not so much in actual money, but in time and sometimes money as well. And that's where it gets tough, is that you're both poor in profit and money, and you're also poor in profit and time. And so in order to actually be profitable in both time and money, $83,000 revenue, there is enough revenue there for you to pay cleaners almost half of that, over half of that, including the IRS, including the government, okay? And then be able to pay office staff an additional 10 to 15%, and then pay an additional 5% to Facebook or Google for marketing, and then pay an additional 1 to 2% to your recruiting costs. And that leaves about 20% over for you, the owner. Okay. And so that is what we are sharing, is the model on how to create both time freedom and also money freedom. Okay. And so that's what you're interested in. That's what we're sharing on this call now for 78 straight weeks. But there's a sequence to this game. And that's why it's important that I wanted to share with you guys a sequence that Katie started cleaning, I started selling. Because there is a sequence to this game. And you must first learn a skill, and then you get to teach it. How many of you guys are really good at teaching things that you've never done before? Exactly. Then why do you guys try to delegate things like sales when you're doing $10,000 a month? I should just hire somebody else to learn sales. I should just hire somebody else to learn how to do marketing. I should just hire somebody else to do my recruiting for me. Seems silly, huh? When we have a different perspective. But when we're in the moment, it seems like the logical move because that's what somebody said on the internet. That's what some famous YouTuber said. You should delegate all the things you don't like doing, things you're not good at. You should not learn them. You should spend your time doing something else. And you should pay me instead. That's actually the greatest sales quote from what you get from marketers, from recruiters, from pretty much anybody who's trying to sell you a service is like, don't do it yourself. It's actually exactly what we sell as a cleaning service. Don't do it yourself. Let me do it for you, right? The problem with specifically marketing and sales is that those are some of the biggest skills, some of the biggest dominoes in this business that if you never learn them, you become a hostage to your business. And honestly, there's just not enough revenue for you to actually pay a third-party person and you still be profitable. It's just like, it really doesn't make sense from a financial standpoint, especially at revenues that are so little, itty bitty bitty. Like there's only a couple people on here who have businesses over $100,000 a month. Even at that point, it's still not enough revenue to really pay a third-party person. Not when the time that it takes for you to learn the skill can be done in like a relatively short amount of time. And I'm saying like some people can learn it in a week, some people can learn it in a month. And when I say learn it, I mean competent enough to be able to produce a similar result as somebody you're paying $2,000 a month to be able to do it. Like how many of you guys would make that trade? If you could learn how to market and save yourself $2,000 a month from paying an agency, and you guys could learn it in a month, do you think that'd be worth it? To have that skill set forever? And that's the basis of how this whole program started, is because there was like 5 people who I had done a one-day consulting day with who were all paying a third-party marketer $1,800 a month to do one thing, Facebook ads. I was just like, I could teach you how to do that with a couple of videos, and I could teach you how to sell them, which he wasn't teaching you how to do, and I could tell you how to get cleaners, which he wasn't telling you how to do, and I could tell you how to keep those cleaners, because if he wasn't telling you to do that, and I could teach you actually how to hire office people, what to pay them, how to train them, how to keep them, and I could do it for less than that. Like, deal, Logan, deal, right? And so understanding that like there's certain skill sets in this business that are required in order for you to learn first before you teach it. And so that is another thing that I'll be consistent with is learning skills, which skills to me are the most valuable things that you can ever acquire, that you can ever buy, because no one can ever take that from you. You don't lose skills in a divorce. You don't lose skills in a bankruptcy. Skills. That's the goal. Yeah. Katie said it really well. Skills create value, and value creates money. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about today, guys, is there's 3 types of cleaning business owners that stay broke. And I know these all from experience. Okay? And until you guys are able to identify this persona inside of you, you will continue to stay stuck. You will continue to have a ceiling on what you're capable of if you let this persona continue to play a story in your head. For that story, for you to follow that story and play it out in real life. And you'll get the real life outcome of never getting the financial or time freedom in your business. From your business, excuse me. Right? So how many of you guys want to hear what these personas are and be able to maybe identify them and be able to catch them when they're trying to talk to you, and then understand what is the story? What is the other side of the story that you need to tell yourself? What is the alternative to this person?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do a slightly different format after 78 weeks. Ooh, we're getting crazy here. We're getting crazy. Okay, and so we're actually going to save a little bit of time at the end for some questions, which, by the way, we have never answered questions on this call, ever. And so today we're going to save a little bit of time, not a lot of time, but a little bit of time to answer a few questions. So whether you guys are part of the community, you guys can ask questions. If you're not part of the community, if you have questions about what we're talking about today, it's got to be about what we're talking about today. It means you got to be paying attention, got to be tuned in. Okay. We're going to save a little bit of time to actually answer some questions today. Okay. So Katie, let's talk about this. Share, Katie, the first type of cleaning business owner that stays broke. What is
Yeah, it
this
was
person?
hilarious when you wrote this post this morning. I was like, dang, I have impersonated every single one of these at one point or the other, and it was really cool to uh, expose the skeletons in the closet. So the first one is the prideful cleaning business owner.
Who is this? Who in here? Who in here is prideful? Yeah. Let me share some with you guys here because I think this is important because this actually came from a message I got this week from somebody who wasn't a client, just somebody who's honestly, she says she's been following me for 2 years, right? And so I won't read the whole thing to you because it's very, very long, right? She says, she wrote me a rant. She said, sorry for the rant. It felt good to express though. If you made it this far, I'd like your opinion on whether or not to join your course. I'd be lying if I said that it didn't pain me to buy another course or that I'm not being prideful because I don't want to prove to myself that I can do it without the course and additional support. That's where this came from.
Mm.
I was like, actually, I'll just tell you guys what I said back, right? And hopefully she's on here today because I said, to answer your question bluntly about joining the paid coaching program, to think you can do it on your own is naive. Ego stops more businesses from growing than anything else. The truth is if you could have built a business that hits whatever she said her goal was earlier, you would have already done it. But you haven't because you haven't paid the price. The price is a commitment to learning, and learning has a cost, and these costs are mistakes. The paid coaching program allows you to make mistakes faster with more confidence because the path is proven. And so that is where that came from, is that if you're afraid to ask for help, it's your pride. And by the way, some of you guys are inside the coaching program and you still are prideful. So it's not like it's just like one step of asking for help. It's actually continuous asking for help. Yeah, you know who I'm talking to. Because like honestly, but it's important for me to understand this. It's not whether you're prideful or not prideful. It's to what extent you are prideful, right? And it's also in different situations because in one situation, family life, you could be a totally different level of pride than you are in business. And so just because you are really good at fitness doesn't make you really good in business or vice versa. And so that's why this idea of like, oh, if I just learn it in one domain, then I can transfer that to the other domain. No, and yes. No, in the sense that like, just because you are disciplined in one area of life doesn't make you disciplined in another area of life. It doesn't make it de facto. What it does mean is it gives you evidence that you are disciplined in one area, which means that you have the possibility and that you have the proof that you can do it again. However, you have to have evidence you can do in this domain as well. Another example in the situation would be like, I've gone through something hard before. Prepares me to go through a hard thing the second time. And the reality is like, it's not true. It shows you that you've done it before, so you have more evidence that you can do it again, but you know what will show you if you can do it again? Proof. You actually doing it again. Okay? So, pride, right? The one who it pains to ask for help. Ooh, ooh. The one who believes that they should just know how to build a business. You should just know it. Like back to this person's like, why do you think you should just know it? Like, what sort of like why do you have that belief? This person is generally a terrible listener as well. You know why? Katie, why is this person generally a terrible listener?
Because they know how to grow their business, or so
I
they think.
know. They're a know-it-all. They're a know-it-all.
They're an asshole. They'll ask all the questions, but they don't actually listen to any answer.
Yeah. We used to have one person who was one coaching client. They asked one time, am I an asshole? And the response was, I just laughed. It's like, if you got to ask the question, you already know. Which again, good awareness, by the way. Seriously, like half the battle, guys. So it's like, this should be half jokey, half like it should sting a little bit. Just like what Katie just said, like if they trigger you, there's a signal there. And the first response is going to blame the person who presented the data. So me, like by all means, you get mad at me. I don't care. It's not going to change my life if you get upset with me. It will change your life if you get upset with yourself. Just understand the facts. Okay?
And that
And
is so
logic.
true, even in our relationship. So this prideful one hit me in the gut this morning thinking about our relationship. So going back to like avenues, right? So business, I'm not nearly as prideful as I am in our relationship, but in our marriage, like you better believe it that I am a perfect wife. I am very prideful in my wife abilities. And when Logan calls me out on it, or, if I ask him for input, I immediately shut down my listening. Like, I'm like, I know how to be a good wife. Like, you don't need to tell me how to be a good wife. It's very interesting though. Like, I am an asshole in my wife duties. I have been an asshole, I should say.
Yeah, and I think spouses are always a good example of for you to find a lot of these personas will pop up, right? They're very evident with the people who you have the closest relationship with, because they also have the ones who have the most to gain, but they also have the most dirt on you as well. They can hurt you the most. And so that's where our insecurities become very evident, is around the people who know all of our secrets or know more secrets than anybody else does, right? Okay, another example of the prideful cleaning business owner. Yeah, they will say all the right things, but they'll continue to repeat the same behaviors in the same conditions, but they refuse to believe it is their fault. It's got to be the market. I'm doing all the right things. It's my people, right? Like, and then they ask questions like this, like, so like in your market, like, do people not show up as well? Do people cancel in your market too? Those are some triggers. Oh yeah, and this person will argue with you. Yeah, yeah. This person will argue their theory. This is my favorite. This is my favorite one, specifically for people who are coaching clients with us, or people who are just inside the free community. Is they will argue their theory with somebody who's actually got the result, and they'll argue against evidence and proof. Seems strange, but this is another example of the prideful person, right? They think asking for help is a weakness. So when I shared that message with you, the underlying problem was that this person believed that asking for help is a weakness. And it's like more contradictory than anything. Is like the greatest strength you can have is asking for help. And actually asking for help from somebody who's done what you want to do is like one of the smartest things you can do. I was on Kitty, I was on a one-on-one right before Kitty and I have our spouse meeting every single week, which, by the way, consistency. Like, Kitty, how many weeks have we done our spouse meeting? So this is back to the consistency, back to like this being week number 78 that we've done this meeting for, 78 straight weeks. Kitty, how many weeks have we done our spouse meeting for?
I can't even count them. Years.
Because it's in years, right? We're in a different, what do you call that? Unit of measurement. It's no longer weeks. We're now in years. We've been doing this since 2018. So it's been 7 years that we've been doing the spouse meeting. And again, it just goes back to the consistency, right? And so one of the greatest things you can do, though, is you can ask for help. And so that's really what our spouse meeting is just like us asking each other for help on like where we need to improve at, not where the other person needs to improve at. Right? Here's where I need to improve at. Here's what I'm working on. And so the other person knows exactly what the other person is working on, so they can be a support system for them. Asking for help, not a weakness. In fact, greatest strength, right? And so especially when you're asking somebody who's done what you want to do. How many guys in here want to actually have $1 million business? Okay, let me pull that back. How many guys actually want to have a business that can make you $200,000 a year in income and allows you to work on the things in your business that you want to work on? Okay, cool. Done it a couple times now. Okay. And so again, like the only reason that Katie and I aren't talking is just because and some of you guys aren't yet, is because we have done it. And we've done it multiple times. That's it. And so our goal, and you guys have seen inside our community, is to give other people who have also done it, like the Kayla Irby's and Jessica Lucases, the opportunity to also share what they have done and then share their perspective as well. Because I don't believe that our perspective is the only right way to do it. It's not. It's just a perspective. And so if you have an opportunity to listen to someone's perspective who's done what you want, I think inherently, like, there's value in that. And that's why we continue to do this, because I think that people get value enough for you guys to continue to show up for 78 straight weeks, right? And so any last things, Katie, that you want to share the prideful cleaning business owner before we move on to avatar number 2? Any other things that people should be aware of?
I just think that it goes back to like the frame of the prideful cleaning business owner is somebody who has every excuse in the book and every justification and reason why they haven't succeeded yet. So when you can put that aside and just ask for help and be open to receiving the feedback and then implementing it, you can navigate away from this prideful persona very, very quickly.
Yeah. This one is the one I resonate with the most because this is exactly the reason why in my first 3 years in my gym business, when I started my first entrepreneur business, when I first became an entrepreneur, my first business was a gym from 2013 to 2017. I made $135,000 in revenue in 3 years. For the math out there, guys, that's less than $5,000 a month in revenue that I did for over 3 years. And the reason why is because I was too prideful to ask for help. It's because I thought I knew all the answers. I thought I was the shit. And I clearly was an idiot. And I was so oblivious. I was so oblivious. Like, you could not tell me that I was wrong. I was like, no, it's not me. It's not me. I'm learning. I'm figuring it out. I'm trying. It's working. And it totally wasn't. And and some of you guys know my story, and some of you guys don't. So those who don't know my story, like what actually flipped me from doing $5,000 a month for 3 straight years to literally to 1 month right after that doing $50,000. Katie, what was the difference?
A coach.
Yeah. And what led me to getting a coach was to realize that I did not know what I was doing. It became very evident. It took me 3 years. I was like, okay. And I gave every single dollar I had. I said, I'm trusting, help. Yeah, help. I'm trusting not just you, but like I'm just committing myself to this process. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I don't know if this is right. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to do whatever it takes. And
ironically enough, this person had actually had the outcome that you were seeking.
Yeah. So which made it a good decision in a sense that the person had done it himself and he had helped other people do it as well. So like it was at the time it seemed like a huge claim. And looking back on, I'm like, oh, well, should have been a pretty easy decision. But it was my first time ever investing money. It's my first time ever like letting somebody else help me and like doing something that somebody else told me to do. And I made 10 times more money. And it was at that moment that I realized that I won't make that mistake again. The prideful cleaning business owner, the first person who will always stay broke. Let's talk about the second one, Katie. What's the second avatar? The second persona, the second personality.
Yeah, this one also hit me in the feels. The fearful cleaning business owner. So this person paralyzes themselves in inaction due to fear. They're scared. They're scared of what they don't know. They're scared of what they know. They're just scared of everything.
Getting scared of being told no, afraid of rejection. This is where I see people who don't do sales. They refuse to do sales. They send quotes over the text message, over email, through Jobber, through ZenMaid, whatever it is. They just send quotes. And they just, hopefully, people will sign them and give them money. Fear of rejection. And as much as they're afraid of getting told no by prospects, they're even more afraid to tell their employees no. Ooh, this one's so good. I want more money. Yes, I'll give you money. I want this. Yes, I'll give you this, Miss Employee. I need to not work this day, this day, this day. Yes, 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 yes. I can't possibly tell you no because I can't possibly hear no. See how these compound, guys? Like we think about, like if you understand that all of these things compound and it's really just one problem. Fear. What if I lose money?
What if I lose an employee?
What if I lose a client? What if I lose status? What if somebody says I did a bad job?
Yeah, what if they don't like me? What if they get mad at me? It's a good one, Anna.
What if I spend money on a coach and it doesn't work out? Here's the problem with this, guys. This person believes it's more important to save $1,000 than learn how to make $10,000. That is the fundamental problem with this. It's fear. It's a scarcity mindset. That's exactly right. They're afraid of making mistakes because mistakes make them lose status, makes them lose money, it makes them lose. And losing doesn't feel very good in the moment. But losing is what is required for learning. Once I came to the conclusion that the requirement to making $1 million is to first make 1,000,000 mistakes.
Feel 1,000,000 painful moments.
That's when I started to get excited for mistakes. And I think that I have a natural inclination to like being okay with mistakes because in school, I was a C student, 2.5 GPA in high school, and I think 2.6 in college. Right? C's get degrees. That was the anthem for sure. Katie, on the other hand, she got that nice little fancy tassel that has like different colors that was like very prideful, right? Very prideful. I'm smart. I got a higher than 3 point something GPA. I don't even know what it is, right? Because in school, you're rewarded for not making mistakes. However, in business, you get rewarded for making mistakes. And that's why it's actually really cool for Kate and I to do this together because we actually helped each other a lot because it's not about being prideful and being a C student and being prideful and being an A student, but it's about learning where it's necessary in order for both of those things to make ultimately the thing we're all going for, which is the business grow, right? And so once you understand that like this game is about learning and learning is done through mistakes, it's through actually taking action, getting the feedback and then changing your behaviors based on feedback and doing that over and over again, you understand that mistakes are part of the game. Now, you know what is not part of the game is make the same mistake over and over again. That is actually stupidity. And that's where someone like Katie, who's book smart, is like, okay, we'll learn, like fix it. Like, let's not do the same thing again. Okay. So mistakes are required. And for a lot of people, they're like, no, 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 I don't want to make mistakes. And then I get a little red check mark, a little red tally that says, you did bad, you did bad. Right? And actually,
Yeah.
it should be like, good job, do it again. Like, what'd you learn? Now try it again. Based on the new feedback, try it again.
A great example of this is in college, Logan and I actually have like very, very similar degrees. So he was like taking
We do
the
not have similar
pre
degrees. We do not have, no,
well, this
let's
is
not
going
say
to
we
my
have similar
story.
degrees.
Just cool your
You
jets
you
here.
have a
Logan
you
has
have
a
a
higher degree than I do, if you
thank
guys want
you.
to know
That's
it
why I
on
had a
that.
lower
So it was
GPA.
it was harder, but yes, just bear with me here. I'm getting there, okay? It's
That's why I had
fine.
a
You're
lower
smarter than
GPA. So
me.
my degree was harder.
So in
Warn you.
college, we were both on track to complete a pre-physical therapy degree. So this degree, you have to take these hard classes, you have to like actually go into anatomy class and dissect human bodies. And as I
Physics,
got through
chemistry, calculus. Oh my gosh, it's
my
ridiculous.
prereqs for all of these higher up courses, I was scared. I was scared of failing. I was scared of not having a 4.0 GPA on my graduation day and having that fancy tassel and having the status. So I switched gears. I said, this degree is too hard. I will not get a 4.0. I will take the lesser hard road and I will just get a health promotion degree. And the only difference
Mm,
between these two degrees was simply the classes. And I was out of fear, literally, which just sounds
mm.
so stupid in hindsight, but out of fear, I did not go for the harder degree because I was so freaking scared of failing and what it would do to my reputation that I was like, I'll just take the easier route.
Well, I didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah, and I think I was just ignorant that by the time I graduated college, I was like, I didn't need to do any of this stuff. Like, I could have become a personal trainer without getting a degree. So I think maybe I just was stupid.
So it
Like, why did I
actually
go through
pulls
all this
both
hassle?
the prideful cleaning business owner and the fearful cleaning business owner into one because like I was so egotistical about this status
Yes.
of being a good student that out of fear I was like, nope, I need my status. I need the pride to show. Oh, silly egos got in the
Yeah.
way.
Which is really good, Katie, because this is the underlying reason why the fearful cleaning business owners will always stay broke, is they're afraid to commit. And ultimately, the commitment is the ultimate indication whether you'll be successful. And so this person will never commit 100% because of the fear they're not good enough, for the fear of the status, right? And this person also will silently quit. So a lot of times people talk about quitting business, and they want to, and we talk about the statistic of that 95% of businesses they quit after 5 years. However, it's more than that because 5% of businesses silently quit. Actually, 4% of businesses they silently quit. They just like do business, but they stop hiring, they stop marketing, they stop looking for coaches, they stop looking for communities, they stop looking for answers, and they just say, no,
I'm good.
not good. They're unwilling to commit. They actually just they gear their situation to guarantee that they'll never be successful. So they'll prove themselves right by putting themselves in a situation where they have no resources, they have no commitment devices. They'll never put themselves out in public or put themselves outlay money. They'll never put themselves in a situation where they have a chance to be successful. They will just guarantee that they are not successful.
Ouch.
And this, my friends, that is the fearful cleaning business owner. Right. Okay. Number 3, Katie. What's number 3? You guys ready? This
Dang.
one. So hold on. The first one. So for any guys who are not here at the beginning, we have the prideful cleaning business owner. Okay. Then we just went through the fearful cleaning business owner, and the third one. The third one.
This one's me. They're all me. Dang it. And they all interplay with each other. So this one is the perfectionist cleaning business owner. I'm very, very guilty of this. More so in my personal life than business, but it obviously relays into business. But yeah, I used to think for a long time that the high standard was perfection. Everything had to be perfect. And every idea that Logan had was I was like, there's no way that we could fulfill on that because the fulfillment wouldn't look perfect. So again, going back to fear, like I was afraid that the fulfillment wouldn't be perfect, therefore I wouldn't execute on it.
The problem with perfectionist, and Katie, we talked about this last night. We were at dinner at a friend's house, and we're talking about parenting styles. And this couple, I think they're about 10 years older than us, and so their kids are older than our kids. I think their oldest was 23, and their youngest was in 8th grade. And so we're talking about parenting styles. And so this is where this perfectionist came out in us as well as parents. The idea that perfection is the high standard. And how you know this is that you believe that every mistake should be punished. That's how you know you're a perfectionist. I mean, everybody needs to be punished for their mistakes. And so this person also believes that they're the only one who can perform at the standard high enough to meet expectations.
This is why solo cleaners don't ever get out of the field, mostly.
This is why it's the first step. Like they don't even get to the place of being afraid to sell because they're just afraid to have somebody else do their cleans for them. Right? So Katie made a good point that all these definitely intertwine. They intertwine. Yeah, this person believes that after hiring somebody, whether it be a cleaner, whether it be an office person, they should be as skilled, as dedicated, as consistent as you, the business owner.
Guilty. I've done this.
Employees, they're so stupid. I can't believe they're not as dedicated as I am. I would never do that. Here's something that I've been noticing lately, and it comes inside the gym. So almost every single day I have a story about someone coming up to me in the gym and making a comment, or like last week somebody touched me, somebody grabbed me. Just as my as I get in better shape, I get more feedback. Let's just put it that way, right? And so I'm not gonna go down that road. I'm not gonna go down that road. So I'm gonna keep it here. Sorry. So anyway, to think that somebody should be like you is a form of ignorance, right? It's like Anna Harris is on here right now. Like Anna Harris last week shared her story to the community. And so if you guys are inside the community, I would highly recommend going inside and listening to her story. It's under I just updated the module, so it's under specialty calls, and she shared her story. Okay. Highly recommend going and listening to that story. But one of the things that she'll talk about in there was that she was afraid to even like come to me about some of these problems that she had. And I think that if we understand that if we can actually see the perspective of other people rather than just our own, then we become a lot more valuable. And so most people, they can only see through the lens of like what they have what they have achieved in their life. And so, for example, okay, I'll pull the gym back in here. So like a lot of times guys will come up to me and like, oh my God, I could never lift those kind of weights, or I could never do that. I was like, yeah, okay. So what? Like what do you have to do with what I'm doing? As an example. And so if you can understand that, like most in the kitty, and I don't remember what it was. I was trying to think about it while I was like going through this other example, so I got off track a little bit. But like you said something last night too at dinner time. You're like, I could never do that. And it just was like one of those moments where, like, again, like we're only thinking about through our lens. We actually don't have the perspective. We're not in the moment thinking about the perspective of, well, based on if I knew that this person had been lifting for 20 years and they had spent thousands and thousands of dollars on coaching and that they tracked every single thing that they ate and everything that they've been working at and every single exercise they've been doing for a decade, I could probably believe that they're doing, like, they could probably look like this, they could lift this much weight, right? That would probably make more sense. And so for you guys to understand that if you see somebody doing something that you have not done, you're like, I couldn't fathom, understand that there's something that they are doing that makes it fathomable. You just have to understand what are their inputs. What have they been doing?
It was training for the half marathon
It was
running.
for that. That's what it was. Yeah, you're like, I
Yeah.
could never do that, which is fine. Again, it was just one of the things I was conscious of like, we only see through our own perspective. But if someone came up to me and said, hey, like, how long have you been doing this for? Do you track your food? Do you track your exercises? Oh, okay, that makes sense. Now I understand why you look the way you look. Like, yeah, okay, cool. Now, are you willing to track your food for 10 years? Are you willing to do the exercises? Are you willing to track your bank account? Are you willing to look at your finances every single day? Are you willing to not spend money on things that are not going to make you money, aka coffee? Oh my God, I gotta have my coffee. Gotta go to the movies. I gotta have fun. What about fun? I want to have fun, right? Are you going to not do those things and instead save that money and invest into an asset that doesn't pay you today, but it'll pay you in 20 years? Okay, that's why you're not rich, because you want immediate gratification today, right?
I
And
think
so
Alex
people go,
Hormozy summed this up so well. You either like for 30-year-olds anyways who start business in their 20s, like you're either an underlived, over-skilled 30-year-old or you are an overlived, underskilled 30-year-old.
yeah,
Either way, you have a sacrifice. Just what sacrifice are you more willing to make?
yeah, so good, so good, so good, right? And so this is the perfectionist, right? They can only see through their own lens. Like they're very narrow sighted. Um, they will always hire task doers, but they will never hire anybody better than them. This person becomes the bottleneck of their company really fast. Okay, this is the perfectionist. Okay, anything else that you want to add to this last avatar?
Yeah, I think it's just really important for everybody listening to understand that like you might gravitate towards one of these avatars more heavily than the others, but at one point in your business or in your life or in any avenue, like you will see all of these come through. Like we there's always fear. Fear is a great indicator that we are doing something that we've never done before. There is always pride. Like we should be proud of what we have done in the past, but we have to be humble enough to know that we don't know what we're doing in the future. And then perfection is like we think we got it. We think we know. And if we can put our ego aside and understand that like there is more to learn, we can get out of our own way and deconstrain the bottleneck of ourselves. So I think it's just important to you might resonate more with one than the other, but they do all interplay with each other and they will all rear their head at any given moment in any given situation in any given day.
And I just couldn't stop, guys. I actually have 7 more that I'm going to go into detail with, but there's 7 other personas that will also stop you from growing into our business, which will de facto just make you broke. Okay, so I'm going to share with you guys these other 7 as well. But also, mind you, that we're going to spend a little bit of time here answering some questions. So, guys, you have questions about these avatars, you guys please ask in the chat, and Katie will pull out some questions here. But here are the other 7. Okay, the idea junkie. Okay, this person's always brainstorming, never executing. They love whiteboards, but their hands stay clean. Okay, start projects, never finishing anything. Uh, they have lots of really big ideas, but nothing ever gets done. Okay, so that's another person who always stays broke. Next person, the shiny object chaser, right? They're constantly distracted by something new, something trendy, whatever it is, right? Something not clients and cleaners related. They're always looking at AI, looking at tools, they're looking at different ways to circumvent hiring more clients and cleaners. It's the only way this business grows, right? Oh, and they always get a new business strategy, something new this week. Okay. Number 3, over-optimistic dreamer. They believe that passion is alone. Like, I'll work really hard. I'm passionate. I'll just keep grinding, right? I'll figure it out. They ignore numbers. They ignore the cash flow. They ignore the fact that their business is not growing. Data. They get blindsided. Uh, by their emotions, and they just ignore all logic. The passionate ones, the dreamers.
The
All right,
feelers.
the feelers. Yeah, the feelers. Right. Again, I've been one of those as well. The martyrs. The martyrs. Right. The martyrs. I'm too busy, like a badge of honor. Too busy to learn a new skill. I'm too busy to learn marketing and sales. Do it myself. I'm too busy. Right. They work 100 hours a week, and they make $0. You're not the CEO of your company. You're the unpaid employee of your company. Continuous effort, zero results. This person is ultimately says they get burned out and they end up broke. Okay, that's the martyr. The next avatar, the greedy gambler, right? This person, oh my God, I love this person. I mean, I don't love this person, but just this person is obsessed with the shortcut. They're obsessed with the quick fix. They're obsessed with the immediate gratification. Let me eat the cookie and I want the abs. Wait, I can't have both, but the internet says I can. They chase getting rich quick versus getting rich for sure. They lose it faster than they can make it. Right? The greedy gambler. The next one, the internal student. They're the consumer. They consume every book, every seminar, take notes like crazy, but never actually do anything about it. The library is huge and their bank account is tiny. That's how you know they're the internal student. And then we have the one-hit wonder, the person who had a really good month or had a really good quarter or maybe even had a really good year. They had a really good accomplishment and they believe that that one accomplishment, they can ride that forever. They never reinvest, they never diversify, they never evolve. They believe stagnation is actually real. And their business eventually dies when that one thing that they did once either stops working or eventually is no longer relevant. So those are the other 7 personas that will keep you from building $1 million home cleaning business. Okay. And so something new that we're also trying is all these notes I'm actually going to put inside the recordings. So you guys actually can access these. You guys go back to listen. You guys can watch the recordings. If you guys didn't know, whether you're inside the paid coaching program, you guys can watch the replays under the road to $1 million. If you're inside the free group, the free school group, then you can watch all the recordings inside there as well. But actually, as of last week, I started putting notes in there. So like I prepare for these calls and I put notes in there and you guys can actually just have access to the notes. So if you guys find these useful, you guys can go back and you guys can use those. So, okay. So one thing that I want to share with you guys is, yeah. So we talk a lot about the system. We talk a lot about what it takes, what personas to avoid, but like, what do you actually need to actually grow a $1 million business, right? And it's the opposite of those things. You need to be somebody who like asks for help. You need somebody who like is okay with making mistakes, and you're okay with somebody who has the courage to put yourself out there. Okay. And so
the courage to be able to fail and learn a lesson and keep going.
And so I want to show you guys this because a lot of these people actually are on this call today. So you guys can actually put this in like real time, which I love. I love that our community actually shows up to these calls. It's so cool. And so I just added a couple testimonials here from August, and you can see someone like Marcus Small here. His business a year ago was doing $4,000, and this year, 12 months later, is doing $12,000. So he tripled his revenue in 1 year. And so for someone like Marcus, like that's huge. It's a great freaking job, right? Because he's been in business for a couple years. Right? It's cool to see. Okay. And then someone like Julia, in her first year of business, did something wild. Is she went from 0 to $80,000 a month in 1 year. Wild, right? And to start the month out in September, she already has $76,000 on her books, and she's actually one of my one-on-one coaching clients. And yeah, I saw her vision sheet today, and like, it's a good chance.
I would just like to put a note in here that she was stolen from me. She was mine, and then Logan said that she's hers or his.
I recognized talent, and I was like, you're gonna pay me more money, and you're gonna coach with me. And I sold her on that because I was like, I'll make you a lot more money. And that was the truth. I was like, you're gonna pay me more money, but I'm also gonna make you a lot more money. And it wasn't any knockoff to Katie. She wasn't doing weekly coaching clients, and so only I was. So
It was actually really cool. I just had a call with a prospect who was interested in our one-on-one coaching program right before this call, and he is like, "What's the average? Like, how quickly does somebody in your program get to 83K or over 80K?" And it was really cool because here's two great examples. Somebody tripled their business in a year, and somebody went from 0 to 80K in a year. And I had to explain to him the importance of understanding what it takes. And going back to the Alex Hormozy saying of, if you want $1 million business, you have to feel $1 million of pain, a million mistakes of pain. So Julia has had probably what feels like a year of, excuse my language, but like fucking hell. Like, she's probably felt everything 10x, where Marcus still feels the pain and the growth, but it's not at the same sacrifice that Julia has felt. She hasn't seen her family. She hasn't had time to hang out with her kids. She hasn't had the time to hang out with her husband, because she understands that to grow at that rate it takes more sacrifice than to grow at a slower rate. There is no right rate for anybody. There is no guarantee of success. It's just, what are you willing to sacrifice today to have the payout tomorrow?
Yeah, that's so good, so good. And so James, we dropped the link, and so people, if you guys want to, if you guys haven't seen this, you can go through, you can look at. I mean, there's a lot of them on here. And so again, like someone like Maria's on here, she's somewhere, she's on this. Kayla Irby is on here. Anna Harris is on here. You guys can go back and see some of their wins as well. People who are on this call, and then there's other people inside the community as well. So James, we dropped the link for that page, and people can go check it out. All right, Katie, we got 5 minutes before we got to get on our Mesa Vision meeting. So let's answer one question here. So pick out one question we're going to answer, and yeah, see if we can create some value here for everybody.
There literally wasn't a single question in here. Everybody was jamming today,
Oh my
though.
gosh, no one had questions.
Nobody asked a single question. The only question was, can I ask a tactical question?
Well, you got to ask it in the chat, my friends. Okay, well, maybe we should prepare people for next week. They can bring questions. So yeah, I don't see any questions as well. Okay, cool. Sorry, guys, that's my bad. I did a bad job of sharing what we're looking for here today. So be prepared. If you guys are consistently on this call and you guys want to ask questions next week, then be prepared. Bring some questions. And so this recording will be inside the school group. So if you're not inside the free group, or excuse me, if you're not inside the paid coaching program, that's okay. You guys, everybody in here can have access to the free school group. And under the Road to 1 Million Replays, let me just bring this up so you guys can see this. Okay, if you guys are not inside the free group, which I think most of you guys probably should be, but if you're not, let's not anticipate. Let's not assume things, right, Katie? Let's assume people are not. You guys see this is the free group. You go to Classroom, and you can see Road to 1 Million Replays. If you click right here, like you can see last week, I actually put all my office notes inside here. So you guys can come back through here and look at some of these notes on how to hire an office person. I put all those notes in there. And then this week, you guys will see this. I have lots of notes here, okay, on the 3 types of cleaning business owners. So that'll all be inside here next week. Or excuse me, it'll be in here once the recording gets uploaded. So James will upload it, and then you guys can go watch the replay and take all the notes. So next week, be prepared to ask some questions. And yeah, and so if, again, you guys are inside the paid coaching program, thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to be able to help you and serve you. And honestly, it gives us an opportunity to make the system better. And that's why we feel like we're cheating in the fact that like we get to have we have multiple businesses that we're able to grow, but we also have a community of 100 other businesses that we are able to coach, that we're able to get feedback, we're able to make the system better, and ultimately it makes our business better, makes the system better, which makes the whole community just better as a whole. So it seems like cheating, but maybe it's just the way that things should be done, I guess, right? It's one of the values of being part of something that's just bigger than you, is that you can learn from other people who are making you can learn from other people's mistakes, which is a form of higher intelligence. It's not to learn mistakes yourself, but learn from somebody else's mistakes. And so if you're not part of the coaching program, James dropped a link for that, and you can apply to join the coaching program. The application for one-on-one coaching is actually, or the price for one-on-one coaching is actually it's going up on Friday. And so we have a lot of people who are trying to get in before the price goes up, which is smart, because you're going to get the best deal. You're going to get high value at a lower cost. But if for some reason you get into coaching after the price goes up, high value, it's higher value, just also at a higher price. So basically for the rest of this week, you get the double. You get, as Dr. Kashi used to call it, you get the entrepreneurial double dip. You get higher value at a lower cost. And so for the next week, there you guys go. If you're not inside the part of the one-on-one coaching program, book, or you can apply, and you're going to get on a call with Katie, actually, this person right here, and she's going to hard sell you.
Not at all.
Yeah, you actually get like hard sold not to join the program. As like it's so funny. It's opposite. Like we actually try to unsell you, and then if you can convince us to join the program, then we'll let you in, because ultimately it really is like a lot of Katie and I's attention. We only have so much attention. We really only want to
I
give our
don't want
attention
to be
to
more
people.
committed than anybody on my roster.
Yes,
So
that is the best way to explain it. You have to be more committed than we are for you to grow your business. Let's just put it that way, because at the end of the day, like, it's not going to change our life, but it will change yours, right? And that's our goal, is to be able to change your guys' lives. So appreciate you guys so much for hopping on here. Week number 78. Yeah, hopefully you guys like this format. Give me some feedback. If you guys like it, let me know by showing up again next week. If you don't like it, don't show up next week, I guess, because this is what it's gonna be next week. We're gonna try it again. Try a different format. Try to give you guys some more value, a little bit more tactical, a little more strategy, and also give you guys an opportunity to answer some questions. And yeah, so happy freaking Monday. Go out there and get your hands dirty, right? Ask for help. Have some courage to get your hands dirty, make some mistakes. Make some mistakes. Get told no, and then bring the story back. Bring the stories back. So appreciate
appreciate you
y'all.
guys.
See you guys later.